Welcome to the Dawg and Gus Show, now on Feel It Radio.
What's up, Dawg?
Not much, Gus. You?
A lot, actually.
Yeah? Why don't you tell us?
I'm a dad.
I know that.
I'm a dad.
Now everybody else knows.
That's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah.
Changed my whole life, actually. But yeah, we're not here for me. We're here for someone else.
Changes my whole life. Quick segue.
So we're here with Stefan Jurewicz. Is that correct?
It's close enough.
Jurewicz?
There's so many different ways I've heard people say it. It's technically Jurewicz.
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 Okay. Stefan Jurewicz he's the Desert Island Big Band. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to have you.
All right, I gotta get right into it.
Let's go.
Why big band? Like it's like when I think of big band, I'm thinking like, Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, that kind of stuff. So why Desert Island Big Band?
You said I wouldn't notice. Desert Island Big Band is just a pun. I remember I was just walking down the hallway and at the house that I was renting beforehand, and just out of the blue it just jumped in my brain. It's just like if I was on a desert island, I would be a big band because I'm the only person there. It's a really cheap, really simple
well done.
pun. But
I like that. I like that. Nice.
No, that's funny. Like, because I know that's in your bio on your Spotify page there. You kind of explain that. That's funny. I like that.
That is it is true though.
Yep.
If he's on a desert island,
he's a big band.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Desert as in deserted.
Deserted, as in nobody there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right, go. We're a little out of practice. By the way.
Yeah, apparently. So, audio engineer, musician, producer, and author. Tell us about the books.
Yeah, so it was just the one book.
Yeah, but I think I remember reading that it might be a trilogy at some point. Is that
the trilogy? Was the music that inspired it? So there were 3 songs that I released over the course of the pandemic that I called the Lemon Trilogy. It was Here Then Gone, M, and Playboys and Dishes. That I just sat with them for such a long time that I started picking up similar themes between all of them. There's a little bit of a storyline running through all of them. So after sitting with them for the length of the pandemic and noticing all these patterns and everything, I thought, because I'm always looking for ways where I can sort of elevate what I'm doing a little bit and not making it just here, check out my new song.
Right.
That I wanted to do something a little bit higher concept, so I thought I'd sit down and just start writing, and thinking I'd come up with maybe a short story by the time I was done with it. And then after I had finished the first part of the 3 parts in the book, I remember just sitting there feeling like I had something a little bit more substantial, so I gave it a little bit more of a, at that point, figured out that I was actually writing a novel.
Okay.
And ended up just over the rest of the year just plucking away at it until I had a full book by the end of it.
Cool.
Fuck, that's super cool.
Yeah, and it was published this year, right?
Yeah, in February, I think is when it came out.
Cool. So you can get it on all the sites?
Yeah, right now it is available on most Amazon and Walmart and that kind of online.
Chapters, Indigo? Not yet?
There was talk of doing that. I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
I've still got to do a lot of the reaching out to local bookstores and trying to get them in physical on shelves. Right now it is just online, and then usually I just redirect people to my website.
Okay.
Because I have all the links there, and you can go straight to the publisher and buy it from them.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pick one up and get you to sign it.
Yep.
I would love to. I've been meaning to buy get a back order so I could give them away to people, but haven't gotten there yet.
Oh no, make sure you get your money out of it for sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No, that's really cool, man. So tell us about working. Jessica Pepin was the director of 6 Shooter. How was that experience for you?
That was phenomenal. That was some of the most fun I've had doing a creative project in maybe ever. Because Jess is my partner, so we've been together for 13 years now. And she's always kind of just been around, but just since starting this project, and when I say around, I mean creatively,
just hanging
she's
out.
just there all the time.
Just to clarify,
she's in my kitchen when I get up in the morning. I don't know why she's there.
Yeah,
it'd be nice if she paid rent once in a while. It's she's always kind of been there creatively for a bit of a sounding board for me. But ever since starting the Desert Island Big Band, she took on a much more in-depth role doing she's essentially my artistic director at this point.
Okay.
Where most of the it started off around the Playboys and Dishes campaign with the clown makeup and everything, and since then she's been sort of infiltrating the creative side of what I've been doing. And then when it came time to do the 6 Shooter video, she'd been sitting on this video concept for years at that point and just hadn't found the right home for it. And came to me and said she wanted to do it for this one.
Right.
And I had just finished applying to Factor for one of their grants, which I ended up getting, so I could put it right into the video. I worked with a friend of mine, Dominic Lanos, who has been doing all of my videos up in all of them really. And he sort of guided Jess through the more like the technical things that she's never done, but everything else was her. It was all, she organized everything. She found the actors, found the locations, storyboarded everything. The whole concept was obviously hers, and then came up with all the shots, and was not as involved on the editing end. That was still more Dom that did that, but it was just like more or less front to back, just all of her idea, and just like phenomenal to be able to sit back, because I'm usually very hands-on when it comes to creative things. But to be able to sit back and know that it was being handled by somebody that I like trust arguably more than anybody else, and like the video speaks for itself. It's phenomenal.
So great, so good. I watched it today. Actually, I was watching.
Yeah, I was watching parts of it on my way here. I should.
Yeah, that's why I was driving. Super interested in asking. Yeah. maybe don't say that.
Maybe I didn't say that.
Well, you can tell that you kind of have your own way of doing things as far as musically. So it must feel you were obviously comfortable with Jess, and that worked out really well for you. Yeah, so that's cool.
Nice. Now, when you said you want to feel like you want to push the limits of your music, have you felt like that's what you've been doing so far?
So far, I think so. Yeah. So I'm constantly feeling like I haven't hit that mark yet, which I'm still trying to figure out through the Desert Island Big Band has been an experiment since day one for me.
Okay.
Where I've just been trying to figure out what kind of sounds I want to make, and I'm very inspired more by sounds than anything else. So that's why I tend to genre hop a little bit, and I'll take elements from one thing or the other. And I like collaborating with people a lot for that same reason, because I really like seeing what other people can add to it, and really just pushing the limit that way for myself.
Right.
And actually in a couple of weeks I'm going to be putting out a song called Monuments, which I worked primarily with the Lionels on, which I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They're an Ottawa band as well. They're phenomenal.
The Lionels?
Yeah,
writing it down.
It's Lionyls.
YLS.
Okay, cool.
They're really fucking cool. Those guys are amazing. All just some of the best musicians in that I've met in the city. And I just invited them in to play on it. But for this one, I more or less gave them free rein, just to kind of see what would happen if it was a little bit more collaborative, while still obviously being my song at the end of the day. And I think that for I'm kind of going on a little bit of a tangent here.
Cool.
But,
cool.
I do find that whenever I do start with something new, I have a tendency to just when you say test the limits, it's more of how can I do this a different way this time?
Yeah.
Because I get really bored really easily, and I don't ever want to do the same thing twice. So I try and switch it up as much as I can by bringing new people in, or working with Jess, or with Megan, did the backup vocals on M. Almost everything, if not everything I've put out has had somebody else dip their hands in the bucket to some degree or another.
And that's not a bad thing, right?
No, not at all. I mean, without you, we would just be the Gus show.
Yeah, that's true. And it would be nothing.
No, it doesn't work without either of us. It's all good.
No, but it's true.
No, you're absolutely right. It's and I love your music. I was listening to it today. I actually called Dawg while he was at work, and he didn't answer, of course,
because I was
working. But I was listening. I was like, man,
right after he's saying that he's driving, watching a video, but I'm not answering the phone. I was working.
Well, he's busy, No.
I don't want
we're not going to. Don't worry, we're not piling on.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I feel like I
here
just
we
got
go.
sacked.
Here we go. But no, I like your sound. Like you said, it does. You do bounce from genres. I found that also, and I kind of like that. Because it's not the same. Although you have your own sound and your own feel, but certainly jumping back and forth. A little Tame Impala sometimes. I find. I don't know. Do you find that?
It's that's a funny thing with me is I've noticed that there have been a lot of every time I put a song out, I often get compared to people that I just don't listen to.
Yeah.
There have been a few artists that I'm now a really big fan of that I'd never heard of before. For example, Unknown Mortal Orchestra was one. Jose Gonzalez was one.
I love Jose Gonzalez.
Me too, but I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah. I do get that actually now that you say it. Sorry.
And it's just I keep getting those things where I listen to a lot and I tend not to. One thing that bugs me a lot with bands is when you can see their influences, where they wear it on their sleeve, and you listen to them and you go, "Oh, this is AC/DC, or this is another Deep Purple, or whatever it is."
Agreed.
So I really like to, I don't like to hear too much of my influences in the music. which I think is another sort of symptom of that, like just trying to do new things all the time, not repeating myself.
For sure. I get that. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. It just sort of felt like a little bit like Tame Impala at one point, and I don't know if you listen to him, but he's changed a lot over the years. But your sound certainly kind of remind me a little bit of that genre. That's all I was getting at.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of stuff I've listened to that is kind of manifested in one way or another in the music that I haven't noticed either. Actually, funny you mentioned Tame Impala. I think right before I went on that cabin recording trip, I was just finding some sounds, and I remember just playing the 6-shooter riff over and over again, and I recorded a little clip of it and realized that it's like maybe a note off of I forget the name of the song, but it is that Tame Impala song that everyone knows with the dum dum dum.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
It's like
can't
right at the end, just kind of kicks off to something else. But I didn't realize at the time that that's more or less the same melody as 6-shooter.
Yeah, but you like you said, it's like because it is your own song, and even if it's one note off, it's still like no, it's your own song. I mean, 6-shooter is a great song.
Yep.
I actually enjoyed that one as well.
I like that one too.
Yeah,
but it must be hard, like just like with so much out there, to try and be like, I know you want to be an original. Everybody's an original. Everybody's like their own person and stuff. But you're going to get compared to people. It's going to happen 100%. Doesn't matter if whatever you do. You'll be like, oh, that person did that 10 years ago, or you know what I mean? Like coming out with makeup on. Oh, that's been done. You know, and you know what I mean. So
absolutely.
But it's funny because I was going to ask you about how you feel about being put into one genre, and you answered that just a couple minutes ago by saying that you kind of like to jump through genres, which is pretty cool too, right? So you're not being, so, we've got this guy and he's only this.
Right.
So it's cool.
Well, I've done that before with, my hair's falling out here. I've done that before with previous bands where we've done like a specific genre, and then like there's always a point after like a couple of years where I'm sitting there going like, I've got these new ideas I want to implement, but I just feel like I can't. Because it doesn't fit the aesthetic of what we're supposed to be. And then like, it starts getting weird for me when I'm like, but it's still me and this is what I want to do, so it should still be fine.
Right.
Which is why with this project I've just really leaned into that, in that like if I feel like I want to do it, I'm just going to do it because this is me. Mm-hmm. And that has been much more satisfying, and like I don't mind being compared to other artists at all. Like I think it's really interesting to be to see what other people are hearing from me. Because a lot of the time I don't really think about it too much. I'm not really trying to be one thing or the other. I'm just seeing what happens and what kind of sounds, what comes really naturally to me. Especially when I was living at the pool house and I had the studio I was running there. There was like most of the stuff early stuff I had was recorded there. And I would just have everything all set up all the time. So I could just like hop between drums and bass and guitars and all like plugging into all these different amps and just seeing what worked, and if it didn't, I could just delete it and try something new.
So that's pretty cool. That was all right there. You can imagine that's probably your dream. Have a house where you have everything kind of handy.
Absolutely.
Just walk downstairs and there we are.
Well, that's probably why those like famous albums like Led Zeppelin and stuff, they rent a house and like they just sort of play, right? And like there's nothing else, right? I think that's pretty cool.
So I'm taking from this that you played obviously more than one instrument, right?
Yeah, so I've played guitar mostly, but...
Do you play the theremin?
Oh, I'm not
You said all of them. Not well, but I have tried.
I have. Theremins are fucking weird. They,
I know. We had a discussion about that. This is
they're changed.
I do, actually, there is one theremin player that I follow on Instagram who is really, really interesting. What's her name? Via Mardot, I think.
Oh,
she does this very, like, spooky kind of, like... I'm terrible with genres. I can never explain what anything is. But it's got this like very dark, spooky kind of like it's really cool stuff. But she's like the only person I've ever seen who actually can play the theremin.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't even think that there was a person who was doing it professionally.
Right?
Well, of course.
Sorry.
Come on. So what do you play? You play the guitar, the bass, drums?
Yeah, guitar, bass, drums. I play a little. Like I have an understanding of keys. I'm just a little slow with them. It tends to be like counting the notes out and figuring out where everything is. But I've dabbled in a few different things. But I'd mostly say just like your typical bass, drums, guitar is where I'm most comfortable.
Okay,
nice.
Yeah. So if you could have a coffee with any historical figure, who would it be? There's going to be some whimsy sometimes. Every now and then we'll have a weird question.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. For some reason, the first one that came into my head, neither of us would enjoy each other's company, but probably Charles Bukowski.
Oh yeah, I love Charles Bukowski, man.
I think it would just be nice to just be in the next to him.
Well, he'd likely be drinking and smoking a cigarette.
That's it.
Likely.
It'd be a coffee with bourbon in it.
Okay. I'm sitting here with a blank look on my face because I have no idea who they're talking
Well, he's a
about.
poet. Also, I'll lend you one of his books. It's not brand new, so you'll be upset.
Oh,
about that.
I can't have
he
that
only
then.
reads. He only likes to read new books. But no, it's a book. I actually found that on a park bench. I don't remember which book it is, but
oh, too bad. That's what I was gonna ask.
yeah, I'll show you after.
Cool.
But it was kind of a random book, and I was like, oh, I've got to check this out. And I started reading it. And I was like, I love Bukowski, man.
He's really neat in that, if you just to look at him on the surface level, he's a piece of shit. But then as soon as you start actually paying attention to what he's saying, there's so much beauty in his writing, despite how gross it is.
Yeah.
And he's got such a deep understanding of how, at least from my perspective, I find a lot of what his perspective matches really well. And there are just so many commentary on just society in general that I find he does so well and so succinctly that it just feels very satisfying. And at the same time, it's always weirdly hopeful.
Yeah.
There's never this it's
right.
very dark, but there's always this little it's not off all awful though.
Oh, it's glimmers. There's glimmers.
That's it.
Yeah. No, he's a very interesting writer. Okay. I think you'd like him. Actually.
I will take your word on that because you would know.
Well, just poetically, he's just like he said. He's very grimy and really kind of dark. And then, but that was a great explanation. Stefan is he's got this glimmer of light that comes out.
Yeah, and out of absolutely nowhere, he'll just be talking about drinking and fucking these women, and then going and sleeping, then waking up with a hangover, and then doing it all over again. But then out of nowhere, he just goes, "Oh, here's this one quote about life that sums everything up so well that you're there's one I'm trying to remember what it was. There's one that always kind of sit funny with me. It was something along the lines of how dare you not feel like you have it in you to keep going or something like that.
Okay. Huh?
And it was just such so jarring to just be
right.
How to phrase it that way. How dare you not want to not have it in you,
or you
didn't think that you had it in you.
Yeah, or not
before.
be true to you. How dare you not be true to yourself and and follow your bliss, whatever.
And it just
I'm not a poet.
it ignites a weird thing in yourself where you're wait a minute, you want to prove it wrong all of a sudden, but then that's
I'll show you, Bukowski. I'll show you.
I love it. It's antagonistic but beautiful at the same time.
Right. Okay. So that's cool. Okay.
I'm just
so now I'm looking forward to Gus lending me that book so I can read it. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, it's very cool.
So while he's looking, I'm gonna.
It's Notes of a Dirty Old Man. That's the one I have.
Oh, I don't know that one. Is that poetry or is it
I think so. Yeah, it is just random notes, but it is poetry for sure. It's he's got. I mean, his books. There's a little bit of everything. So he has poetry, and then he'll have random, like you said,
essays.
Quotes.
Yeah.
Insights into life.
There's no real again. Speaking of there'd be a good comparison to you is actually there's no genre. He just kind of goes.
Yeah,
and that's probably where they connect.
His novels are really the fiction that he writes is really really cool too.
Yeah,
I think Pulp is maybe my favorite of all of them.
I haven't read that. I'll check it out.
It's almost like a detective story. It's got that kind of film noir feel.
Oh, nice.
But Death comes in, and Death is this beautiful woman that just appears in his life and starts just killing these people off around him that are getting in his way. And it's really interesting that because he takes a very classic genre and puts a very Bukowski spin on it.
Very cool.
Yes, he should, right?
Well, yeah,
he'd be the guy to do it.
Hunter S. Thompson and stuff. These guys are all interesting in their own way.
Yeah, I know of Hunter S. But yeah, that's for sure. Well, you got to be you.
I just read Rum Diary actually.
Did you?
That's a good one. Yeah,
it's a good one.
Nice. Now, when you're touring and stuff, Gus likes to ask this question: do you have a favorite place that you like to play, like a favorite venue
that I have played, or that
you have? Oh, either one. Like if there's one that you love playing, or is there some place that you'd love to go and be there to play?
I've recently been looking at Europe a little bit more seriously.
Okay.
It's always been a bit of a pipe dream for me that one day I'd like to end up in Europe. Recently I've been just trying a few things to just try and make it a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Where hopefully within the next year or two I'll be over in because I've got some I'm working mostly in the UK at the moment trying to break into that. But as far as more local, I recently played the Horseshoe for the first time, and that was a lot of fun. Just because it's
Was that in August?
that was, I believe so.
Yeah, Hamilton, right?
Toronto.
Toronto, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'd heard of the Horseshoe for forever. Like it's
Of course, yeah.
immortalized in the Tragically Hip discography, and it's just one of those spots where you just like it's nice to play there. Whether
Absolutely.
like so I'm not one of those people who tends to get really sentimental about things, but the Horseshoe is I think one of those exceptions for me. I'm like, it's kind of cool to play the Horseshoe.
For sure.
Otherwise, I gotta say Live on Elgin. I think it's my favorite place. I book there arguably too often when I play in Ottawa. It's like it is the only spot that I play because I love the sound there. The staff is phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about them.
You're not alone. A lot of people have said that on our
We've
show.
had that a lot of good compliments with Live on Elgin for sure.
I believe it.
And now a word from our sponsor.
We are currently recording Dawg and Gus in the podcast booth at Staples Studio, Ottawa, on 403 Bank Street, where they have everything to help your business work, learn, and grow. They are currently offering a clean and safe place to work with desks, offices, and drop-in memberships. More than a co-working space, Studio is a community to help you work, learn, and grow. For more information on pricing, please visit studio.stables.ca or contact the community manager at studio.ottawa@staples.ca. Hey, Doug, want some hot sauce for your tacos?
You brought your own hot sauce?
Damn right. Have you tried Gringo's Sizzling Nirvana? It'll change your life.
Nice. Are there other types of sauces?
Absolutely. There's different hot sauces for different palates, incredible barbecue sauces, red pepper jam, and salsa. All of them use fresh ingredients, and it can be delivered to your door.
Hey, how do we get some?
Go to www.gringosblazingsauces.com and order some.
Gringo's Blazing Sauces.
Bring the fire to your food.
Now, if there was somebody that you would like to join on stage, who would that be? Like if you just want to, I get to record with this person or this group.
That's a fun one. I've done that a lot.
Right.
Daydreaming about playing with other people is a lot of fun.
I would imagine
actually,
it would be.
I don't know if there's anybody specific. I think just in general, I've always wanted to do that. I really like the feeling of like bringing people on stage. Like I've done that at a couple of my shows. Like for one of my singles, there's in the bridge section. There's like Megan Franker, another local musician, sang on it.
Okay.
So the last time I played it live on Elgin, I brought her up on stage with me just to do that one little cameo in the middle of the song, and I love that shit. Whenever people do that live and I've always wanted to be able to do that for somebody else. Because there's just something I find so cool about, like, people are watching the show, not expecting it, and then out of the blue, somebody walks off the side of the stage just with a guitar on or whatever, and they're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Or, alternatively, they do know who it is, and it just brings the show up to a whole new level. Because they're like, holy fuck, look, they got, I don't know, like...
Well, we'll say Willie walks out with Waylon or something.
There you go, yeah.
Those are huge ones when they got, they say, okay, I'm going to welcome to the state, and then just the place just erupts.
Mama, don't let...
That's it, yeah.
Him sing anymore. Oh.
I love singing.
I know you do, but people don't like hearing it.
That's not true.
It is.
Well, you know what? I don't sing for them. I sing for me. You'll never win. So... If like favorite band, like say like if you were to be at home and you're chilling and what band do you go to listen to the most?
That changes a lot for me because same with style of music. Like I'm always looking for new things that are going to hit me funny. I tend to obsess over bands for a little while. I'll get really into an artist and like everything to do with them I listen to and I really absorb for a little while. Then whenever that starts getting old, I'll jump over to something else. I know recently I've been really into St. Vincent was a big one. I was obsessed with the Daptone discography, the Daptone Records discography for a little while. Like all of those bands are so good. Like Budo's band is I cannot get enough of them. There are a lot. I think I tend to go with The Kills whenever I talk about my favorite artists, just because like if there's one that I will always go back and that will always hit the right spot, I find they tend to do it. Other ones, like Beck is a good one. I think it's any of those artists, like Beck for me is probably the one I'd say I touch on the most, just because he is another one of those artists that flips around between genres a lot. And I find like if I'm in a specific mood, I can probably go to Beck at some point and he will have something that'll fit that mood. He's got his like silly records. He's got his like very serious, like more folk acoustic records,
funky records.
Exactly. Yeah, he's all over the place.
I love Beck too. Yeah, there's so many good. He's got, like you said, he just bounces back and forth, and he does it all so well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you think that's your attraction to the bands that you listen to, is that they're not like focusing on one genre, like Beck goes here and there, and then the Kills, are they just the same kind of deal? Or
yeah, I wouldn't say so, just because the Kills tend to do like this. They're more or less the same thing that they've been when they started. They've gotten like more refined and become a little bit more polished over the years, but it's still like they've got their niche that they've been riding for a little while. I'm not sure if there's any one thing that really hits me with music. I've still been trying to figure out what it is that does it for me. Because it always feels like it's this kind of nameless, formless thing that sometimes it just hits you and you're like, this is it. I don't know what it is, but this is it. And that's the kind of stuff that I find I look for.
It's hard to explain sometimes when you're listening. And like, I don't know why I like this artist. I just do.
Yeah.
You know, it could be like we talked once about this, about your background when you're growing up and your parents are playing the music, and then, you know, you don't like it, but you're absorbing it at the same time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't like Fleetwood Mac. I'm serious, because my mom and my they would play Rumors every Sunday, you know, and Secondhand News would come on, and I'd be like, all right, enough, you know, like
I'm done.
But
here.
now, I love that album. Rumors album's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That would be Elton John for me. My dad is the world's biggest Elton John fan.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
He's got I think at least one copy of every one of his records, so like live records included.
Wow, that's impressive.
As well as
It's got to be like 30.
No, it's got to be more than 30. I think it's closer to 50.
It's a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I remember when I was growing up, we had this big CD rack that was the Elton John side and the everything else side. And he's got like a full cardboard cutout, like life size. He's got the posters everywhere.
Wow.
So I was surrounded by that my whole childhood, and I couldn't stand listening to Elton John. And now the only cover that I've released under Desert Island Big Band has been an Elton John song.
Nice. Well, how do you feel about his duet with Dua Lipa?
I don't actually follow him very much, so I know he was doing a lot of that stuff, and I've heard the little snippets, but I don't really he's not an artist that I go to a lot.
Okay.
He's just an artist that if it comes up, and I've got a couple of his records, like I've got I'm terrible with the names.
Madman Across the Water.
Not that one. It's more of like his country record.
Oh, I don't know that one.
You don't?
No,
You?
I
of all
don't.
people.
I don't know everything.
I thought you did.
Oh well, you're wrong.
Well, we can always come back to it.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. No, it's I get what you're saying. It's like I don't like go to Fleetwood Mac. Same idea. Just kind of if it's on, you know it. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely surprised a few people with singing the entirety of an Elton John's like B-side.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but you'll hear Fleetwood Mac and it'll immediately bring you back to your Sundays, right?
It's true, yeah.
For the most part.
And also, it's funny that you say it that way, because anytime a song comes on that I haven't heard in 20 years or something, I remember all the words.
It's amazing, right?
You know what I mean? Like you just said,
crazy.
like you pull a B-side out of your ass, really, like, and then all of a sudden you can play it and sing it.
It's super weird. Cool. The way that the brain remembers things like that fascinates me to no end.
Oh, it's very cool. It's interesting. I mean, I remember some phone numbers that I shouldn't really remember.
Yeah.
I don't.
So, like you would say you're an introvert or an extrovert?
It really depends on the situation. I feel like I prefer to be by myself, but I can be with people. Yeah. I'm very good at being social. I think my preference is to be by myself.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe that's why you're a band by yourself.
Honestly, I've been with in many projects where I've been very diplomatic and very like, this is our project. It's got to be a little bit of everybody.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I find that whenever I put out anything that I'm very proud of, it's usually something where I've had more control.
Of course.
And like I've got a vision at the beginning of it, and I've seen it all the way through the end. Which like projects like this have been the first time I've ever really been able to do that, because I've otherwise, anytime I have started a new project, actually it's funny enough, my dad told me with this one, make sure that this one stays just you, because every single one before this has always started a solo project that's turned into a band, because I've just like brought on other people to, whether it's for a live situation or to write something, and it's become a a band, and then all of a sudden I feel like I've got to be diplomatic and bring other people in. And
sometimes it's good to just hire musicians, I would imagine, for you.
it would be nice if I had the money for it.
Yeah, fair enough.
That seems to be an issue. Now, is Dad a sounding board for you? Because it sounds like that.
Both my parents have been phenomenal for like music influences. Like my mom just as much as my dad. Like with her, like ever since I was 2, she taught me to air guitar to Sweet Emotion.
Okay.
Like in the backseat of the car, like
Classic.
Every time it came on the radio.
Yep.
Mark Knopfler was another one of those artists that I hated as a kid. He was the old man with a guitar was what I always called him.
He's pretty good at it though.
Yeah.
I was just talking about how great he was like within the last 2-3 days to somebody. Mm-hmm. Like he's just like, it's one of those things I think where like you were saying, it was just in the background for so long, and it was so much a formative part of me growing up that like it's hard not to have it influence where I'm at now.
He's a finger picker too, isn't he?
Yep.
Oh yeah,
he does it like maybe the best ever. I would just like
I would put him up there for sure.
Yeah, with just with finger picking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love Mark Knopfler. I love Dire Straits actually. Mm-hmm. So when you like, where'd you get the idea? Like, when we were looking at your merch and stuff, you know, like you kind of you worked with Positive Space MTL on your vintage or recycled clothing, but that's kind of how you did your merch. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
did that come from?
I don't remember where I met them. I think I might have just found them through some. They might have been doing like an Instagram ad or something. But I found their page, and I just thought it really aligned well with what I was doing at the time, which was I was still trying to figure out where I was going to go with the project. But I really liked the idea of it being on like vintage clothes or recycled clothing, because that means like so much of what I'm doing is trying to like really pigeonhole myself as far as like just whatever I'm doing is going to be like unique and one of a kind as much as I can. And this merch is literally unique and one of a kind. Like anybody who's bought one of these pieces, it is the only one that exists, because they went out and they got that one shirt and then they printed it with my logo on it. And then I sold it to whoever wanted it. Yeah. So like everybody, I just find it adds just that there's a sustainability aspect of it that's really nice, but it also just adds a little bit of sentimentality to the clothing as well, that this is the only one.
That's pretty cool.
And it aligns with what you want to do completely, because it's completely different than what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at the magnet you gave, which is awesome. Can you explain this?
Yeah. So this was the artwork for M.
Yeah.
It was done by J.D. Boudreau. He was the singer in the band Spirit of the Wildfire from Halifax.
Okay.
I had played with them, actually, I think with both my old bands. Whenever we went out east, we played with them. And he's a phenomenal artist, clearly.
Yeah, it's an awesome piece.
But he did all like he animated that as well. So whenever I like, if you go on Spotify and listen to the song, there's an animation of like the water's running and there's fire coming off of the playing card and everything. And like whenever I was working on the song, it was again that thing where I was like, I had the song and I was looking for someone to collaborate with it. And it had that sort of dark feeling that I've been looking at his art for years now, and like it fit really well. So I just called him up. I'm like, do you want to do the artwork for this one? And he was super game. And
nice.
He did some animations for me as well, actually, for whenever I was sort of getting ready to tease the book. And I had a friend of mine do all the like actual clips from the book, like little teasers that he animated with little like moving icons that passed through as ever certain words would go by. And
oh, cool.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Beyond me.
Yep. Me too.
If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oof. There was a time in my life I would have said peanut butter and jam.
I still go to that.
Oh, yeah, it's a go-to.
Yeah, that's it. Probably tacos. Tacos never fail to...
Never fail.
No, there's so many different ways you could do them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is true.
I do love a good fish taco.
I'm just a basic
I had them
taco guy.
When I was in California, we were in Southern California,
Yeah.
and I ate tacos every day.
Yeah, you did.
Didn't matter.
No,
I was walk by, I'd just grab a taco. Right?
That's it. It's great. It's great street food. You can make it, sit down at a dinner table, you can have it.
It could be formal, can be informal.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's diverse.
It's diverse.
Versatile.
So now you're saying, have you been to the UK? Because you're saying you're working towards, you're working towards going there?
Yeah, so I'm currently working with a PR company from the UK.
Okay.
We're just starting, like as of, actually I think today is the first day of the campaign, for Monuments for the next single. We're going to start pushing it out that way. I have a little bit of my family that lives out there.
Okay.
More my mom's side lives in London, and actually, funny enough, my dad's got family in Manchester.
Okay.
There is a little bit of family connection out there, and we did go there probably about 10 years ago now.
Cool.
But other than that, it's just it's more that it's been the family side of things is one thing, but it's just like it's that sort of it's somewhere else very far. It feels a little bit like, I don't want to use the word exotic because it's the UK, but it's just that like there's just a certain like feel to it that's it's not home. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not familiar at all. It's different. It's a brand new place.
Yeah.
And I've always heard, I'm sure you guys have heard the same thing about like the way that music and art is consumed in Europe it's very different than it is in North America.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think it aligns much more with the way that I like to consume music. So I just feel like that's more just where I feel like I'm going to find more like quote unquote my people.
Right. And you're coming home.
To a certain degree.
In a certain degree, you're coming home.
Yep.
Well, you'll be happy to know that this podcast will be broadcast in the UK.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's on
Feel It Radio.
Yeah, every Monday.
Oh, that's UK? Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Dawg does DJs for them also.
Yeah, I have a couple
cool.
of shows. I play a show on Sundays and a show on Mondays. And so feelitradio.uk.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll let you know when it's airing, actually.
Absolutely, we will.
Please do.
Is there a style of music you're not interested in?
I think everything's got a certain. There's something in any genre of music that grabs me, I think. Because there was definitely a time when I was younger, because I came from much more of like a rock and punk background, where I was definitely that like snotty, shitty, like fuck the EDM music and hip hop and all that. I'm not interested. But the older I get, the more like I'm finding that there are things, especially when you come from like a production background, that music is fascinating to listen to, because it is ultra clean. It's as close to perfect as you're gonna get. So I just find that no matter what genre, whether it's like the nastiest like basement punk band or like the most pristine pop artist, I think there's always something in there that I can find that's going to interest me.
Right.
Obviously some more than others. But like even like I've been writing a lot of country stuff or like pseudo country stuff over the last couple of years, and like that I never would have thought that was the genre that I'd want to get into. But
we're great. We like you in there.
Yeah, we're in there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were to, like you said, I need to ask because I love hip hop, but who would you, if you were to listen to some hip hop, who would you put on?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't think I really know that much. I tend to like, it's more passive with me, or if I hear it, I'll like it and I'll then follow it. It's kind of an odd answer, but honestly, Watts from Ottawa is one of, they're doing more of an indie thing now, but they were doing the hip hop thing before, and it was like, I loved it.
I gotta check it out. Watts.
Write it down.
I am.
They did is Watts with an O. They did the B-side for Six Shooter.
Oh,
Whenever I put that song out, I sent JM the vocalist from Watts all the stems, and I more or less just said, just come up with something.
Right.
And he sent a song back to me that like honestly I think is better than mine.
Oh. Oops.
But it's he just like killed it. Just it was so cool to hear my song, because he actually hadn't heard the song finished when I sent him the stems. Like he took it, didn't put anything together to see what my version sounded like. He literally just took the parts, took them as they were, and made his own thing with it.
Cool.
And I really like the way that he and Rick is the other guy in the band. He and Rick work so well together, because I've always admired Rick from his past bands. He's played in like Elementals and Stoby, and there's like a lot of local bands he's been in as well.
That's cool.
But he's got a phenomenal voice, and he's an awesome guitar player.
Okay.
And that mixed together with JM's like hip hop indie background, they've just got a really unique sound that I'm super into, and I've been into for quite some time now.
Nice.
Cool. Interesting. I was like thinking more like Tupac or something like that.
No, that's cool.
I appreciate that. I want to.
It's cool.
I want to hear Watts actually.
It's cool you went local, because that's what we're all about here. So
it's true.
There was definitely a point in my life where I knew nothing but local. When I was working full time as an audio engineer, like you could tell me any like band that was up and coming, and unless they were an Ottawa band, I would have no idea.
Right. Now, on your bio, it said that you've produced or done engineering for albums and groups. Like, was there can you throw a few out that you've done? Are they all local?
Not all of them. Most of them. Most of the time, I was starting to become like one of the local guys for certain genres.
Okay.
But I've done, I think the farthest out I've done was probably, I've done some work for bands in Halifax. There's a band from Peterborough I worked with. A couple bands from Toronto.
Okay.
More like just the Ontario, Quebec scene.
And is it more of just like, hey, you need to work with this guy? You know what I mean? They
started becoming that the longer I was doing it. When I first started, it was very much me cold calling everybody and like, hey, please work with me.
Please.
And like trying to convince them all why they needed a producer and like why all these things. But and then over time, as I started doing it more often and I actually had material to show my work, then I'd start getting bands like recommending, I had a real good time working with Steph. You should try working with him. And within scenes, I found that my name started going around a little bit more.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
It's all generic, right? It's kind of.
Yeah, that's it. It's like I like working that way. It's a little slower, but it feels a lot better to know that whether it's your music or your like work or whatever it is that you're doing, that the not knowing the people necessarily, but having them talk about you to other people and recommend you, I feel like is so much better than anything you're going to get by trying to do it yourself. And it feels so much better because it's got nothing to do with you, really. The only thing that you are doing is impressing them so they want to talk to somebody else about it.
Yeah, exactly. Your ego is completely out of it.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
When you were like as a young man, were you like, did you pick up a guitar first, or who got you into music first? Like, how did you kind of get into instrumental part of music?
Well, there was both my parents listening to music when I was growing up was definitely the foundation for it. But I honestly wasn't really that into music up until I was about 11, and like my grandparents were maybe it was my uncle, I think, was cleaning out his basement and just found his old guitar that my grandparents had bought for him and he'd barely ever used. And it was more like, hey, do you think Steph would want this? And my parents were like, are you interested at all? And just like stars in my eyes. It was just one of those things where like,
cool.
I had no real interest in it before, but as soon as it was offered to me, I hadn't considered it as an option, and I loved it, and I was like obsessed with it for, really the rest of my life.
Yeah. I was going to say.
It's ongoing.
Do you still have the guitar?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would imagine that.
It's my go-to, yeah.
What kind of guitar is it?
It's a Yamaha FG340, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Classic.
Just an old acoustic. Yeah, it's nothing fancy, but
still, it's look at Willie Nelson's guitar he uses all the time. Nothing fancy with that. It's got holes in it.
That's it.
From being played so much.
Well, that's,
you know what I mean? So
he said he's not quitting music until that guitar breaks down. Is that what he said?
Yeah, something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And he's not the only one. Like, most prolific guitar players have that favorite guitar, and you can tell because it's like it's worn at the place. It's just amazing, and the sound is unique.
Well, that's probably but that's the thing. Their ears are just so much different. Like
I know.
Yeah.
Like
we hear music that we like to hear and it sounds nice.
Yep.
And then he's more analytical, and then he makes his own music.
Yes, he does, because he's a producer.
Well, no, and he's a musician. He's an artist. That's the key.
Thanks for clearing that up for me, Gus.
What's the show about?
Me and you.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song? I don't think I have one.
Find one.
Come on, man.
The first
what's
one
your
that came to mind
What's your favorite song that you've made?
That I've made.
There you go.
All right, forget
That's
it.
even harder.
New question. Yeah.
I'm going to ask the question.
No, it's too soon.
Oh, no.
Is it too soon?
No, it's, sort of.
All right, well, you can ask it, but just not yet. So what's the biggest surprise you've had in the last few months, and why?
The last few months? Oh, I'm so bad with, I swear that I'm just like living life moment by moment these days. Honestly, I think the biggest surprise I had was just having that PR company reach out to me.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because and I'm sure if any of the musicians you've talked to would all know what it's like to get those emails that are like, you've been picked to be on Lyrical Lemonade on Spotify. Please click this link. And just all these like spam things that come in, like multiple of them every day.
Oh, I'm sure.
So it very much felt like one of those when I got it. But then and my favorite part is that the guy who emailed me, his last name was literally Conman. So I remember just looking into this being like, this is just feels a little different. And I looked in and I remember just like breaking the ice by emailing back, being like, this is a hell of an last name you've got for like cold calling people. And I got like a real human response and all of a sudden realized these were real people.
Right.
But then through my research, finding out that this is a company that people have to apply to. and then they choose and decide who they want to work with and everything. But then at the same time, they do have a team that is going out and looking for artists they think would be a good fit for what they're doing. So it was just like a nice like ego stroke.
Oh, for sure, man.
Me, just
for
to be like,
For sure. Well, your music's very good, so it makes it makes sense.
Yeah, it's it's good for your ego. It's like, hey, nobody said anything about this. These guys just found me, and that was it. And it's just on the merits of what they've heard, right?
Well,
they don't know you.
A little bit of time behind them too, like a few songs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They've heard his catalog, and we like what we're hearing. So
that's cool, though.
Let's get in contact with this gentleman.
That's very cool. You always think, okay, who's listening? And
that's it. Right?
Yeah, very, very interesting. I don't know. I gotta think of something here.
Uh-oh.
How do you think the internet and social media has changed the music industry?
Ooh. That's how much time do we have?
Yes. Whatever you like.
There are so many things I could like. If I really get going on it, like this is one of my favorite things to talk about. But like, I think just Spotify alone and like algorithms and that whole thing has changed music almost as much as recording has. Like, because when recording came out as like just an option, I should say I recently read How Music Works by David Byrne. So like all of this information is right.
Talking Heads, David
Let's
Byrne?
go.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it was just this, like, when recording was invented, music, the idea of what music was changed, in that like music could only ever be found by going somewhere and watching a band live. And now you can sit in your living room and you can listen to a band. Yeah. It was this like brand new concept, is like totally changed. Now when people think of music, they don't think of a live performance. They usually think of like a digital file on Spotify or on or like a vinyl record or something. They think of the recorded medium.
Right.
So I think Spotify and these kinds of like platforms are doing that, in that they're reinventing the whole industry all over again. But in this way, I think it's really interesting because people are, like musicians in particular, are now able to make careers, but having like nobody know who they are.
Yep.
Where like you could be sitting on the bus next to somebody before, if it was like a like Universal or whoever it is doing this big marketing campaign, whoever's sitting next to you on the bus, they've heard of the Rolling Stones, they know this band, they've heard of all these bands that have like been marketed to you very heavily. Now you've got an algorithm doing a lot of that work for you and saying, you like these bands, you're probably going to like these bands too. So then all of a sudden you're surrounded by all this music that you probably like. And if you do really like certain artists, those artists now have the ability to jump up to a new level and create an entire career, but that person next to you on the bus has never heard of them before.
That's a great answer.
Really is.
Okay, I'm going to go out in left field. Who's your tattoo artist?
James Dean.
Nice. Like that name, right? Isn't he running for office here in Ottawa? I've seen some signs out there with the name James Dean on it.
You know what? Actually, I did see those signs too. I remember feeling that.
I think he's a realtor.
Yeah, is he? Yeah.
I remember seeing that, laughing, thinking that it would be the same guy, but there's almost no way that it is.
Okay.
No.
Is he local, or do you have to go?
He is,
yeah. Whereabouts is he?
He works at. He actually owns Blue Blood Custom Tattoos with his wife Edith.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Where are they? Give them a shout out.
They're on Coldry Avenue. So it's Merivale and Carling, right where Merivale Carling intersect. They're about a block off.
Nice. Okay,
that's cool.
All of my tattoos I've gotten from them.
Nice. Yeah, I'm the same way with my guy. So.
Yeah.
So we kind of stay.
Me too.
Yeah, you with all your tattoos, you're just like so heavily.
I'm
tatted.
the guy that's different now.
Yeah, you are. We have some commonality.
I'm the outlier.
Yeah, that's it. You're the.
Although
outlier.
I've told you I want to get my baby's names on it.
Yeah, he's going to do it. He's going to finally do it.
There's a reason now.
I know, but I have.
Well, you wouldn't go to the Taj Mahal and start spray painting. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I would.
Just kidding, buddy.
I was gonna say different people.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's all good. I it's funny. I always wanted to get a tattoo. Yeah. Always did.
Yeah.
And then never did.
Yeah, and now you might.
I might go see my friend Curtis Crawford, who owns Free World Tattoo.
Okay, so we're doing this.
Yeah, he's Free World Tattoo. Curtis Crawford.
Okay, Greg Belanger. Sugar Skull Studio.
Did you forget? It's on your car.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah, it's fine.
I need a new sticker.
Tell him.
I did.
Great, get him a new sticker.
I need 2 new stickers.
So how did you meet Jess?
Super fun, actually. I was playing a biker festival in Campbell's Bay, Quebec.
Amazing.
So it was this tiny little town. The drummer in my band at the time, his mom was a biker. And she just kind of threw, I don't know, what the biker scene. heard of this. Like, there can't be that many biker festivals around, but there was this one
you'd be
going on.
surprised.
I probably would be.
Mm-hmm.
There was this one going on in Campbell's Bay, Quebec, which is in the Pontiac. It's about like half hour away from Shawville.
Uh-huh.
And it was just this tiny little local festival that we just happened to be booked as the local act because of the connection through the drummer. And just went there, and like she was just one of the kids that was hanging out at the show and just came up and like started petting the top of my head because I had spiky hair at the time.
Nice.
And one thing led to another, and then haven't gotten rid of her since.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And then she stayed.
She stayed.
Came up on stage once and stayed.
That's it.
Well, took his heart.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
And his hair?
It's a beautiful story.
It's a beautiful.
Well, no, she didn't take his hair. She made him grow it long.
Yeah.
Maybe he did.
And unspike it.
Ask him.
I'm asking.
Do it.
You've listened to our podcast. You know what's coming next.
You know the question.
You know the question.
I'm waiting. I'm ready.
All right. 80s or 90s?
Yeah, but he doesn't like
There's
music.
there are so many angles to this. Is there just on the whole?
Yep.
I gotta go 90s.
Yep. I'm losing this battle.
Big time.
Yep.
Why?
I hate the 80s. I hate the 80s so much. There's just like especially when it comes to like anything.
Make sure you listen to his 80s show.
Yeah.
Though. No,
Yeah. Oh,
sorry.
yeah. I just found a new fan.
Go on.
It's always been the cheap era to me. Like it was a brand like digital technology.
Yep.
It was brand new.
Yep.
It was this thing everyone's very excited about. But like honestly, it's only in retrospect that it was bad. Because now we've moved past it and we kind of look back at these things. We're like, oh, that's a little cheesy, and like all the films are very like kitschy, and there's a definite feel to the 80s that I don't really enjoy.
Very fromage.
And the 90s, like I grew up listening to like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and like all those grunge
Same
artists.
as me, basically. We
So
must
it's
be
just
similar in age.
Who knows?
Yeah.
He looks pretty young. You're looking older.
Yeah, well,
I'm just angry now because
I'm older than him for sure. But I listen to like same thing, Pearl Jam.
Yep.
Like we just saw them.
I know. I don't disagree with your assessment. I don't disagree with that at all. Like my last show was all about fromage, which apparently everything is to you in the 80s. Wouldn't matter what song I played.
Well,
yeah, I do say it as like a big blanket statement. I obviously I love Queen. And I know that there are plenty of like exceptions. I just mean on the whole, I've definitely got to go with the 90s.
And that's fine. That's it's all
is
good.
Queen an 80s band though?
They started in the 70s.
Yeah.
But they did have
it's the
stuff in the
same
80s.
thing.
They had some of their best stuff.
This thing called love.
I'd say like same deal with Soundgarden. They technically started in the 80s too.
Yeah,
They're
late
like
80s, yeah.
but
Pearl
they're
Jam.
considered
Pearl Jam, they all did.
a
Yeah.
90s
Nirvana.
band,
Nirvana started in the 80s.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
I know.
Okay. Well,
Most of the
I'm not mad. I'm just wondering.
You're just crazy.
Yeah, I'm crazy. Yeah. So what's next? What's going on? Like you have obviously the singles coming out soon.
Yep.
And then after that, you're going to do a little tour, hopefully.
I've got Monuments coming out next. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing it right at the end of the year, if I'm going to wait until it bleeds into next year, but I do have another single I'm going to be putting out as well called The Rent that I'm really excited about. I'm actually just working on like the pre-production for the music video for that right now. Jess is going to direct that one as well.
Nice. Okay.
It's cool.
But then after that, I'm going to focus on doing touring for a little bit because I've been just like dumping music out for the last couple of years. And I would love to get back on the road. Like COVID's been a nightmare for me, just trying to figure out where and like how comfortable I feel doing it.
Right.
But it was all I did before. Like I loved being on the road.
Right.
Like every other weekend I'd be doing a little weekend tour up and down Quebec and Ontario. But so I would love to get back to doing that. But and hopefully next year is when I'm feeling like I'm gonna start doing that again. But I've also got in the back of my mind that I want to start doing some longer format recordings as well. I'm get a little tired of the singles game, and I've got enough of them at this point. I think I'm starting to tip into double digits that I think I'd like to start working either an EP or a record.
Possibly an
like
album
that.
coming
Yeah.
out. Nice.
I like that. Yeah,
me too.
You should, and then press it on vinyl.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, Six Shooter was supposed to be on vinyl.
Yeah.
I had to plan for that. We just ran out of time and it didn't work out. Couldn't get it in time for the show. And
I think it'd be cool if you put out your like a full nice album for yourself, and then you'd have it. You could press it. We'll definitely buy two.
Oh, absolutely.
Two
would.
right here,
Perfect.
buddy. Two right here.
You've already sold 2 of them right here.
Yeah.
My turntable was waiting.
You know, we always.
I
like
got.
fresh,
Seriously, I have
fresh
a new
music, man.
I have a new collection now that I'm starting of all the people we've had on the show that are pressing vinyl.
nice.
I'm going to start collecting it.
Well, there's a shocker. You're collecting something?
Yeah, it's a shock.
God.
Vinyling.
You got lots of stuff.
Who knew?
No, that's great. And so just going back to what was I going to ask? I had a really good question.
No, you didn't. It was
gone.
Wasn't that good if it's gone.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we appreciate your time. And if you do put out an album and you want to promote it, let us know. Make sure you listen on UK because now you're going to be a big star there.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
And listen, we appreciate your time coming on, and we look forward to seeing what's next for you, man.
Yeah, and hearing it on vinyl.
You bet.
Well, on vinyl, and then just keep releasing. Some
He's
tracks.
He's gonna do that regardless.
I love his stuff. Like I really do. I called you.
I know you did.
I was like, man, have you listened to any of this stuff? And
he didn't say that because he hung up on me.
Well, I didn't leave a voicemail.
I know.
I wanted to get back to the music, bro.
Oh, rude.
Well, it's not rude. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Stefan.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Really do. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me. I was again, going back to what I was saying before, the fact that you guys asked me to be on the show felt phenomenal. Like I've been meaning to, like I was listening to the one with JJ, and there's been a couple episodes I've been like really digging from you guys. So it was nice to have you guys reach out to me and ask if I could be on it as well.
Nice. Dude, we're so, and thank you for bringing up new artists for us to listen to, because it's crazy. And we can go on. So it's crazy how we didn't know how many artists there are in Ottawa, and including yourself, and then you obviously naming a bunch of other ones, and then it sort of snowballs. And then
one of those things I've been trying as much as I can with other people to like really just try and shift that mentality a little bit. That like there's this whole thing about like local is not going to be as good as the ones that have quote unquote made it.
That's so not true.
It's really not. And not even just on the surface of like, oh, you just got to try harder to look at local people. But it's just that like there are artists here there's a certain brain you need to move on and like market yourself. And like that's a whole type of person that you need to be.
Yep.
If you're just looking for a straight up good art, there are like much better artists in any city, I'm sure. That are like sitting locally that you just need to go out and find, because they're not going to go promote themselves because they don't care. They're just making phenomenal art.
Yeah.
And you can find it. You just need to go out and see what's out there, because people will recommend other artists, other like local acts, like I'm doing with you guys, or you'll just go to a show and you'll stumble onto something. They're everywhere and they're like insanely talented.
It's amazing. And thank you for that, because it's so true. Like, and we didn't know exactly what this podcast was going to do, but we know what our mission statement is now, and that's promoting local artists. That's kind of what we love doing now.
It's so, and we've met so many amazing people, yourself included. Like the people we're talking to, ultimately talented people that people need to know about and to listen to.
Oh, dude,
it's been so good so far, and it's going to just get even better.
I know,
like coming along, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yep, absolutely.
We're lucky, actually. Like honestly, we
are.
We're blessed to have this little room that we have, and
do what we're doing.
I mean, I'm lucky to have you, Dog. Even though you drive me nuts.
Yeah, it goes the same way, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God. Anyway, guys, so thanks a lot for listening again, and
go and check out everything from Desert Island Big Band on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. Jazz.
And support your local venues and artists, please.
Well, actually, you're going to play. We're going to do a big Dawg and Gus festival, I think.
Oh, very cool.
We're thinking about this, and we'd like to have you there.
We'll just have like all the local artists on, and just have like an open forum.
It's gonna be like a Lollapalooza.
We'd have to figure it out. What do you think?
That sounds neat. I'd love to hear what the format is. That's the make or break, I think.
I got it. Dogapalooza. I like it.
What about
You're not even involved. No, who cares?
Okay, well, you got to organize it all yourself and do all the
so it's not happening at all.
Thanks, Stefan. Sorry to give you that.